welcome to 300 Yards to Unknown. I'm Rick Gehman. That right there, that's Eric Patterson. And this right here, this is Major Week. This is U.S. Open time, EPAT, on a scale from 1 to 100. What is your level of excitement?
So truthfully, I woke up today, first shift of the major week preview, and I wasn't as excited as I thought I was going to be. But then I turned on Golf Channel, started watching, the live froms.
Yeah,
got a few press conferences in me, and what it was is Bryson really invigorated me today, and he just got me excited. He was talking about how he's going to be launching drives all over the course, and that just made me want. I was so excited to see how this week's going to unfold because I think a completely different approach is going to win. But
let's just jump into this. That's not going to work, right? Like, that's not going to work for Bryson.
It could. I mean, if he is hitting at 350 and it's finding the fairways, then yeah, he's gonna win.
You just said the key part. If he's finding the fairway.
I know. I don't know if we want to go straight into Bryson right now. I didn't think I'd be there, but
let's do it live. Who cares? Let's do it.
The guy he did this at the PGA Championship where he was talking about, I don't think the rough's going to be that penal. He's talking about he's just going to take these lines and hit driver wherever, and there's the risk to reward is so much greater. And then, I think it took one round for him to backpedal and be like, yeah, I got to put the ball in the fairway.
Yes. And he actually, he finished.
He finished great.
It was his only top 10 in a major championship.
I know.
At Harding Park. But you're right. There was a clear strategy change from Friday on, which I don't think you can pound driver every single time around winged foot. Now, I could be wrong. Bryson could have figured this out, but I wonder what he'll do on Friday, right? Like if he goes out on Thursday and sprays it and shoots 6 over or something, like what's he gonna do on Friday?
So Jon Rahm also had a quote today and said he pulled out the Mike Tyson quote: "Everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth."
Love it.
And I think he said that's exactly what Winged Foot's going to do, and regardless of your plan, you're going to have to alter it at some point. So I'm excited to see how it plays. Like this, the course for me this week is the Star, which I love when that's what happens at a tournament. We saw it at the BMW, even Harding Park. A lot of chatter around that. So I love when the course is the talking point of the week almost.
I know you're a big presser guy, and I've gotten into the pressers more and more, honestly, through you talking about them and tweeting out the transcripts or whatever. I'm like, I got to hear these guys. And there were some really good moments we're recording this Tuesday evening on the East Coast. Today, on Tuesday, where, first of all, speaking of Jon Rahm, the things that he has said make me think he's going to win this golf tournament. So he said everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, which is great. And then he referred to the other previous times that the U.S. Open has been held at Winged Foot. And he referred to them as Massacre at Winged Foot 1 and 2. And then he said, and hopefully this one is number 3. He said hopefully, Eric. Hopefully.
I know.
That's a mental hurdle you have to get over before you tee off on Thursday, that this course is going to kick your butt.
He was saying all the right things, like you just said. He touched on how he thinks his game's in great shape. He's proven he can win at 2. He's already won at 2 very difficult tests this year at Memorial and BMW. So I think he kind of knows it's his time. He was talking about how the pressure of being the first Spaniard to win a U.S. Opens also gets him excited, and it's just another challenge that he can face. And I think, you look at stats, you look at recent form. I think Bryson just lives in my brain. He lives in my brain. But Rahm has everything, and I think the short game is going to separate him from the rest of the guys, especially amongst the favorites. I think Rahm's strokes gain around the green numbers are phenomenal. So I think that's going to be huge this week. And yeah, Rahm knows he has what it takes to win a U.S. Open. I was just trying to pull up those transcript because he was pulling off a bunch of stuff. So he knows so much about the history of the game. I was surprised. He was reciting Hale Irwin's winning score. I'm like, dude, this guy, you're born in 1994. You shouldn't know this stuff. But
he is certainly a student of the game. There were a couple other great moments on Tuesday. Dustin Johnson couldn't remember if he'd played this course or not, which I guess in their own different ways, there is no one more on brand, 2 guys, than Bryson DeChambeau and Dustin Johnson. Like, they just do not stray from their brand. And DJ not knowing whether he's played the West course or the East course at Winged Foot is brilliant.
I think it was after he won the FedEx Cup, he talked about how he didn't remember shooting 80 at Memorial, or he didn't know what was wrong with him at shooting 80. Like, DJ's memory, for better or for worse, it doesn't impact him. And this is just, the fact that he was at Winged Foot and doesn't know. Someone had to tell him he played a round at Winged Foot. He's like, yeah, maybe, I guess. But at the same time, he plays a lot of golf. So for someone who probably doesn't like get excited about playing Winged Foot, it's just another private course that he has to go show up and hit balls at. It's probably all the same to him after, 10, 15 years of doing it.
So I completely agree with that. Like, the guy's played so many holes on all the greatest golf courses. Like, I don't blame him for not remembering that he played maybe the East or maybe the West course 11 years ago for a Net Jets outing, which probably would have been like a hit and giggle, and he like changes groups every 3 holes so that everybody can play with him or something like that. So I don't blame him for that. One thing I do think is kind of related to this, I've read that one of the biggest things that separates like the really good tour pros and the other guys is that they remember shots that they've hit throughout their career, and they can like pull them out. Like, like I have a similar feeling in this bunker, or like, remember that shot I hit like 3 years ago, greenside at Muirfield Village. Like, some of these guys can really pull out of the memory banks good feels when they need to, or reads on greens that they saw years ago. Like, it's pretty unbelievable stuff.
I mean, I think Tiger is one of those guys who can recite every yardage and club he's hit over the last like X amount of years. The guy he takes everything in, and then there's the complete opposite in Dustin Johnson, who couldn't tell you what he had for breakfast, but it works for him. So yeah, that was a highlight of the press conference circuit today, as DJ's lack of memory.
What else? What did Tiger say today? Did he? I don't know if he had anything noteworthy.
He didn't. He just talked about a lot of the questions. He didn't seem like he was in the best mood.
He did not seem like he was in the best
mood. He wasn't given his. He says the same things over and over again, which is, I guess, how Tiger has been programmed. But he does, and I guess he gets asked the same questions all the time too. So he didn't provide much. I honestly just thought it was a little boring. He didn't sound super overly excited to be there. He talked about how hard Winged Foot is, how he compared it to Carnoustie and Oakmont being some of the hardest major championship venues. But other than that, no one really asked him about how his game was, he kind of dodged a question of, how he's feeling about this week for like how his game sets up. So not a lot of came out of the Tiger press conference, but
JT and Tiger both essentially alluded to in their answers that Winged Foot this week might be the most difficult golf course they've ever played.
I'm excited. But they kept saying how, like, JT said it's a fun kind of, like, it's going to be a fun hard. Like, it's not going to be like you're not going to get rattled about it, assuming the setup's okay. It seems like everything's fair and like right in front of you. Like, hit the fairway, hit the green. If you're in the rough, you start fighting for it. But if they start putting pins in like impossible locations, and the greens might get a little too firm or out of control, then it might get out of hand. But I just don't see that happening this week. I think the conditions and everything's going to be perfect.
So if Tiger was kind of unwilling to assess his chances for the week, then I guess we have to, which I personally, and would love to be wrong, don't think he has much of a chance this week, right? I mean, what am I missing here? You can't play out of the rough at Winged Foot. He has a propensity for hitting his driver into the rough. Like that. So, that's simple.
Eamon Lynch, who was on Golf Channel, he said that someone from, I think maybe from Golf Week, followed him around and said that he hit, I think he just for 9 holes, and he missed 5 fairways. So it's not, I don't know, I guess 2 par 3s aside. So maybe hit 1 fairway on the front 9 or back 9, but seemed to be struggling with the misses. And yeah, if he's not long enough, he's not the Bryson Long, he's not the Finau Long, where you can actually hit a wedge and maybe run it up to the front of the green from the rough. But he's going to be like 310 in the rough and hacking out 6 and 7 irons. It's just going to be a battle.
The other problem is, his strength, his one thing that in 2020 differentiates him from everyone else is his approach game. It's his irons, it's his wedges, excuse me. But the problem with that, EPAT, is you lose that edge if you're not in the fairway. So it's like, yes, he might be the best or a top 3 player in the field on approach, but if you have to hack it out every single shot, you don't get an opportunity to use that skill, which is unfortunate, because that's what I envision. What you're describing is him hacking it out a lot.
Yeah, like I think the par threes are probably is going to be his best. Like in theory, it could be the best approach shots he hits all day, or just on the and they're tough par threes.
They're
so
monsters.
He's gonna have to be pretty locked in on those. But yeah, it's I don't want to see him struggle, but if he's not finding the fairway and the putter's been really cold, so if he's giving himself like 10 footers for par all week, like it could go sideways real quick.
It will be a comfortable pairing. He's in a group with JT, who we know they're buds. They've played practice rounds here together.
I'm overseeing Tiger play with JT. It seems like they're getting this like friendly. They play together they played at the PGA. I think they played Genesis together. Like they just seem to be grouped together all the time.
I think you know how I feel about this. You know that I think the way that the pairings happen is like the biggest load of malarkey out there. Like they're just, I understand why all these guys are being paired together. And I especially understand it when there are fans present, and I understand it for TV and all that stuff. But like, it's kind of crazy. The same guys either always get to play with one another or always have to play with one another.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think that they could have got a little more. It seemed everyone just seemed to be with their friends. It's weird. Like the 3 Canadians are together, which is
3 Oklahoma State guys.
Yeah. I mean, Rahm, I don't think wants to play with Mickelson, but Rahm and Paul Casey, the Arizona State crew. So it's like, it's literally just like a buddy system out there, except for one group with Spieth and Reed.
I know.
Poor Spieth. I don't know what.
Well, what he did. They're just behind on the news. They figured, these guys they play together. They must be buddies. I haven't checked anything
Old Ryder
in
Cup
4
house.
years. Yeah.
That's maybe that's what happened there. A little mix up. Yeah.
Yeah. The Rahm Mickelson Casey one. Like, could you get a guy from each end of the spectrum and a guy right in the middle, right? Like Jon Rahm might win this golf tournament, might be the best player here. Casey, very steady, solid, and Phil might just spray it all over the yard. Like we've got one of everything.
That was another. Phil said, so Phil alluded to the fact like everyone wants to talk about like, Phil might have a chance, like maybe they don't, but Phil sprayed it so much in 2006. And he said like he was missing so much that like he was in the trampled down areas, which there are none of that this week. There's no galleries walking all over the rough. That's where Mickelson said he was missing in 2006, and that's why he had success. So yeah, I think a nice little Mickelson Tiger parlay to miss the cut. I think I saw it like pays like 4-1. I think
it might be pretty good. Yeah, the there is an area. So if you miss just off the fairway but still inside the rope line, like that's not good. But in past years, just outside the ropes where the gallery would have trampled it down is your miss it big. I don't know how much you got into it this week, but like you could really nerd out on some of like the architecture around Wingsfoot. I mean, this place is 100 years old. It was, it's an A.W. Tillinghast design, but Gil Hans he didn't redesign it. He restored it a couple of years ago. Yeah. So now everything is back to like the green complexes are basically back to their original shape. They're unbelievable undulating greens. And it was built, I think the quote was like, when green speeds were half of what they are now, right? So they have these huge pitches from back to front that, I mean, we're seeing the videos on Twitter, like Matthew Fitzpatrick's caddy throwing balls out there and the ball doesn't stop rolling for 42 seconds. Like it's going to be, guys are going to putt it off the first green, like for sure.
That's what, obviously I didn't see it, but Nicholas did that in 72 or 74, 4 putted the first green. He putted it off the front of the, like the false fronts are drastic. I think 18 has a giant one. I'm sure there's a few others that I'm not totally aware of, but yeah, the flyovers on YouTube they have on USGA.com. Like those are, that guy, I started looking at those last week and then that got me excited. And then I listened to Jeff Ogilvy on the Fried Egg podcast, and like that, if I could sit down and just listen to him talk about golf for hours, I'd be a very, very happy person, because he talked about what it's going to take to win. He talked about all the changes. He talked about just like Wingfoot and how good of a course it is. And it's just yeah, it got me pretty pumped up.
There's also a flyover. I think it's a series that they do on Golf Digest YouTube page. I think it's called Every Hole at or something like that. And they go to different courses. And there's one at Winged Foot, which is absolutely phenomenal. The Jack Nicklaus putting off one green. The famous quote, and I'll get it wrong here, but whoever was in the group in the fairway behind him, somebody said like, if Jack puts it off the first green, what are us mere mortals going to do? When
that's not what you want to see is Jack hacking it around in front of you, and you're just, I got no chance when I get up there, but it should be fun. And JT said that we're going to see some things that make these guys look pretty bad. It's probably going to be pretty embarrassing at some points. Some awful putting, some bad around the green games, a lot of hacking and duffing, and it's going to be a grind.
There used to be a time, I don't think they're doing it anymore, but there was a time where they told the playing competitors that number one green would actually be slower than the rest of the greens because they could not, like, it would destroy you. Like, if they had it at the same speed as the other 17, you would be destroyed. I mean, there's so many great stories and so much great history about this place. I just can't wait to see it on TV.
So this goes back to like the undulations. Trevor Immelman was on the Golf Channel there, and he was talking about how they've widened one of the greens. I wish I remembered which one it was, but they brought back. So I guess there was like a mound to the left side of it, I believe, that was rough before, but now they've because they were restoring the green, it's now the left side of the green. It's like this giant funnel that pretty much it filters everything back to the middle of the green, but just goes to show like if you short your side yourself over there, or in there, I think there was a bunker there too. It's just going to be the amount of slope. I wish they could show it on the broadcast because I don't think we're going to be able to see. Like this is goes back to Augusta. You never really understand how much it slopes until you're there in person, which is unfortunate. But I hope they somehow incorporate that into the broadcast to really show how the elevation change between front and back and side to side.
It's just incredible when you get to a course that is so well thought out like this. So they have bunkers on some of these par threes that are like 80 yards short of the green. They are in no way in play, but they like tell your eye where to go or where not to go. So when you're standing on the tee box, it's like all that stuff that's like, who even thought of this? Like I couldn't even, my brain couldn't even have decided 100 years ago. I don't know. It's just so impressive when the way that they're able to accomplish their goals out there. I have no idea how golf courses are actually built.
I know, like this is that's like super like diehard architecture stuff that I'm definitely not. I don't know enough about it all, but it is like bunker placement to me is like I always thought it's random, but it does like there's always like at the really good courses there's a purpose for every bunker, for every little lip, for even like the little cutouts in the bunkers. Like there's a reason for that, and apparently the restoration that they did is like really good. I guess it was done in preparation for this event, so hopefully it shines through in the broadcast because we're not going to get a lot of. I mean I would die to be there, but unfortunately we're not allowed. But maybe one day.
Maybe one day, yeah. Awesome stuff. Here's something that I thought was interesting. So before we'll get to our actual picks at the end, like we always do. But this came up on the First Cut pod, and the question was just like, who do you want to win? Who are you rooting for? Who would make you the happiest? And I guess if your answer is Tiger, you have to give me another answer. But like, I think I always forget like, what would make me happy? What would I root for if I didn't have financial investment, if I didn't have DraftKings lineups or all this stuff? Like, who would I actually like to see win?
That's it's a weird that you brought this up because I was just out walking around downtown Toronto here thinking about this. Like I haven't had like a rooting interest outside of, DraftKings or, financially like for a golf tournament. And I'm tempted one day to just be like, just sit back and do nothing. Just enjoy the story. Like I got to get back to that place.
Before I will jump in there. So I don't know how I screwed this up. We went on our honeymoon, or I guess what would have been our honeymoon, because we got married, then we had our reception like 3 months later, and then we went on a trip like 3 months after that. But anyway, we did it during the Open Championship last year, which was a terrible planning on my part because content and all that stuff. But because we had all this stuff leading up into it and the reception and then the trip, I had like zero financial investment in it. And it was like kind of enjoyable, Eric. It was just like just being a fan for 4 days. And I mean, because we were, hanging out by the pool, watching it on TV, doing what, like, it was just cool to be a fan. And
Yeah.
I don't know when you could do it, but like, I recommend it. Like, it's good to get a week like that.
I know I'm not. It's not like I don't enjoy it. Like even Stuart Sink last week, like
Yeah.
I was cheering for Harry Higgs, obviously, but at the same time, you look back, like his family's there, his wife who's battling cancer, and like he had to step away. Like that's just such a good story. So for this week, I want to see McIlroy win. I think the new father story is something that I don't know. I think there's just more to it than golf, and it has been like that for a while for McIlroy. So if he can like quickly turn the page on this new chapter in his life, break through for the first time. I can't believe he hasn't won a major since 2014. So I think McIlroy would make me the happiest to see win. That list is longer than one name, but I think if you gave me no other rooting interest, I would be pulling for McIlroy.
That's a good one. I like that a lot, especially because, while Rory has won, he is in a bit of a quote unquote major drought. And I don't try to say that majors are easy to win and they should be coming often, but yeah, he hasn't won one since the 2014 PGA Championship, right? I mean, that's the last one.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like so in 2014, after he won the PGA Championship, you said DJ and McIlroy will have one major at the end of the 2020, like in midway through, almost near the end of 2020. Like you'd be like, how did that happen? Who took them all? I mean, I guess Brooks took a bunch, but to think that those guys only have one major in like 6 years is kind of crazy.
That would be a good one. I would like to nominate, I think Colin Morikawa winning would be wild.
It would be wild.
And
back to back
to start your career, essentially. And he would really he would change a lot of the conversations about, okay, who the best players in the world are. I think we very easily say Dustin Johnson, Jon Rahm, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy. Like those are the first names off everybody's lips. He would assert himself like at or near the top of that list, and I think it would be really interesting to see him go back to back.
I mean, he would instantly become discussion for, but like that would put I feel like that would put so much pressure on him. Like that would be like a Spieth type run where it would instantly be compared to Tiger, and that's so unfair and so early. Like we're already doing it, but that would definitely turn some heads and get some attention real quick.
Okay, so now who would be like what's the best story? So like is the best story Tiger winning and getting to 16, and then in theory he could win back-to-back Masters and get to 18 in April, or is it Phil?
I think the best story's got to be Phil. Okay. I think it has to be. Like imagine a 50-year-old Phil goes back to Winged Foot like 14 years after that collapse and beats this field with all these young studs in it. I think that would be that would be a crazy story.
What if whoever was in the lead collapsed and Phil won because of that?
That would be perfect. I mean, like you couldn't even draw up a better story. I don't know who that guy, that poor guy would be, but yeah, imagine collapsing and having Phil. That would be.
All right.
I could see that. I could cheer for that. I couldn't see it. No, I couldn't see it. That's gone too far. I could cheer for it though.
You know who winning would create the biggest fever pitch on Monday on Twitter or on Sunday night? If Jordan Spieth wins this thing.
That's a guy again. That's a good story too. I don't see him. His game is missing a cut at the Safeway Open. It's not
going to happen. Like this guy's so far off. But could you imagine if he wins?
That would be sick
for the first time in 3 years. Because let's be real, like it would be way better for golf if Jordan Spieth was good.
100%, yeah.
Like way better for golf. He's such a good guy. He's very likable. People know like it would be great for the game if we could just thrust him up with some of these other great stars that we have going on right now, and he could like contend now. And if he won,
imagine he was there now with like JT and Morikawa and Rahm, like that would be insane. And like This dude has 3 majors. If he was still at his peak, he would probably be contending for others. Like I, I'm, yeah, I would love to see Spieth back at the top. Like he does it differently than everyone else. He's not this big power guy that we're seeing now. It's just it's a different game, and yeah, golf's better when Spieth's at the top of his game.
And he has taken such a beating in the last 3 years for not winning.
Huge beat.
I'm almost starting to feel sorry for the guy. Like he looks
well.
broken.
That's like. Yeah, he does. And that's like what happens when you come out of the gates too hot. So that's why I'm saying pump the brakes on Morikawa there. But Morikawa, like, that swing looks repeatable until he's like 60 years old.
We always knew the Jordan Spieth chicken wing might have a problem at some point.
He always scrapped it around.
Look like that.
Yeah, that's true. Something's a little more repeatable there. But yeah, Spieth, man. Yeah, you've see, this is going back, like, when you're not invested at all, like, you could be cheering for all these different storylines instead of trying to put together a Tiger Phil missed the cut parlay.
That's because you're right, because come Sunday there's going to be 6 guys there that all have some good storyline, right? So you'll be able to enjoy something, whether it's some old guy contending, whether it's a young up and comer trying to get his first major championship, whether it's a redemption story. They'll all be there, but we can handpick storylines sometimes.
Man, this goes back to my excitement level throughout the day. Wasn't quite there. Started talking about it. Started getting into my shift a little bit more, and now they're doing this with you. I think this has got the juices flowing. It's can't believe there's a major in the middle of September. I'm trying to set fantasy football lineups over here.
There was, did you win week 1?
I didn't. No, Philip Lindsay got hurt for me last night. Needed a few more extra points. Brutal.
Oh boy. I read that approximately 90% of the maintenance on this course will be done in the dark this week because of shorter daylight hours in September versus obviously in the middle of summer. So they'll be running the headlamps and everything. That's
a job I would hate to have, is like a maintenance staff at a major championship venue. Did you see the push mowers were out? Those guys.
Yeah.
What a look. You get like 10 push mowers ripping around the greens. I don't think they were cutting much grass, to be honest. The guy, his shoes that were right behind the mower were still completely invisible. So it's not like they're cutting it down to a few inches. It's still going to be nice and thick.
And I think that's the last time they're going to cut it, is what I think we just saw. Okay, picks. Let's do picks. So I have a notebook. I'm keeping track of this now.
All right.
Safeway Open. Your pick to win, Doc Redman, was he was like your one and done.
How's that 62?
Thank you for a 62 on Sunday. Doc earned Eric 322,000 points. I had Joel Damon. That's not going to work. He finished 40th, 50th, something like that.
Yeah, that was a weird week for him.
I don't know. I'm still scrolling. So for something down, he made the cut, got like $29,000. Top 10, that was Joel Damon for you, so that's 0 for 1. I had Cam Davis, also 0 for 1. He finished T36. Your sleeper, Denny McCarthy. I have no idea how he finished. I'm going to find out right now.
Missed the cut.
So did mine, Wes Bryan. So off to a roaring start for us. You have a very good one and done lead. So you get to go first on your U.S. Open. Let's start with sleeper.
All right. Yeah, I haven't given these much thought. Sleeper is what? Outside 50 to 1?
I think we said 50, yeah.
I'm going to go with Brendan Todd. He's probably like 80 or 100 to 1. It's fairway finder. It's going to be too long for him, but he's got a good short game and he can putt. So give me Todd.
I went with Matthew Fitzpatrick. Similar reasons. He kind of does it differently. Yeah. Good putter. Just shows up at difficult golf courses. Top 10s, like all over the place.
When you sort by the right stats, Fitzpatrick might be the best player in the world. Like, it's fairways gained, proximity from like 100 yards, which I think there's going to be a lot of. But yeah,
we're going to have a spin-off pod call if you sort by the right stats, which is like I can find anything I want. Top 10. So this is just yes, he did or no, he didn't. Top 10 for you, EPAT.
I'm going to take Jon Rahm top 10. I got to get on the board here. I think it's a pretty safe top 10 pick.
Yeah, see, I would have taken, this is key because we're only doing a yes or a no. So I would have taken Terrell Hatton, but there's no reason to do that because you don't get the odds associated with it. So I'm going to take Colin Morikawa.
I like it.
Okay, now
I think I think so. Going back to quickly on Ogilvy, he knows how to win here. His pick was also Rahm. He said short game is like everything. Apparently, he was getting up and down. He was like one of the only guys who made like 4 straight pars to close his day. Chipped in, up and down for pars all over the place. Just a brutal test.
I'm really catching a lot of steam towards Jon Rahm. Like as we get closer to this, like I'm becoming a believer that it's gonna be Rahmbo.
I didn't realize how good he was around the green. Like, when he gets hot with his putter. Before we move on to the pick to win, they asked JT this question in his press conference, and I thought it was pretty decent. Who wins, the guy who hits the most fairways or the guy who makes the most? He said 8-footers, but I'll do 5 to 10 footers. Most fairways or most 5 to 10 footers made?
Well, it's very interesting because usually the guy who makes the most 5 to 10 footers would be in really good shape. Wow, this is tough. I'll take fairways. I think it's fairways.
Yeah, he said JT also said fairways. I'd probably go 5 to 10 footers because I think if you do get one of those for birdie, like you have to make it. It's a must make. Again, going back to Ogilvy, he said the birdie putts, like there's more pressure on making a birdie putt than like a 5-footer for par.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's going to be so few birdies.
Yeah, think about all the 8 and 10 footers the guys are going to try to save for par all week long. It's going to be insane.
It's going to be such a grind.
Yeah,
I'm going to be so stressed watching like shot tracker on like. Oh man, 30 feet to right rough, chip to 8 feet for par. Oh, come on, just hit it. It's just going to be like that all week.
It's going to be so bad. All right, the only guy you can't pick to win is Doc Redman. You've used him.
He's not in the field, so luckily I'm not tempted. He's the first alternate.
Yes, one more. Okay, real quick. It sucks, man. Like it sucks for the whole COVID sucks for everything and everybody. Scotty Scheffler, I feel for. Sam Horsfield, I feel for, just because like, you know, this is a big moment in their lives, in their professional careers. I would have loved to have seen them out there. Hopefully they're back at it soon.
Scheffler was like literally easily could have contended, and Horsfield just won the UK swing, playing incredibly well. He's played in a few of these, but yeah, that's 2 terrible breaks for 2 young guys.
Yeah, so Doc is I got to that because Doc is the first alternate. So if anybody else drops out, withdrawals, whatever, he would make it in. But on the outside looking in at the moment.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. So I get to go first pick for win. So if I sweep, I go, wow, okay.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. We're just kind of going with it. Yeah.
I'm going to go Xander Schauffele. I've been sitting on the U.S. Open Xander one and done all season long. So I think he's going to be very popular in that format, but I'm willing to eat some chalk.
I didn't think you were going to do that. So now I've got to think about this.
Although I did see him quick snap hooks off the range today. His dad was not impressed, his coach. So
I saw him just sitting
that drive made me reconsider it, but I think he's got everything he's looking for him.
Man, so this is really tough. So I think Webb is a really good value at whatever he's at, 25, 28 to 1. William Hill, if you're in New Jersey, Rick 500. That's a promo code you could use, Eric. Not you. You're in Canada. But the thing with Webb in a one and done situation is that there's better places to use them.
This is like a full season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could use Xander at the next U.S. Open.
There's
another one later this season.
That's true. So it feels weird like burning one of these guys the second week. You know what I mean? I'll just take Rahm, I guess. Like I feel like I've
I've grown
on Rahm so much. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna take Rahm. So
Rahm, Xander, beautiful.
Rahm and Xander for our picks to win. Top 10s, Morikawa, and you have Rahm in your top 10. And then sleepers are Fitzpatrick, Brendan Todd.
Brendan Todd, let's do it, buddy. I love it.
All right, Pat. I'm officially stoked.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
I don't know how I'm gonna sleep for a couple more nights, but then it'll be a 4 a.m. start.
I was wondering, like, do you actually get up for the 4 a.m.?
Yeah. Get
the pot of coffee brewing, and that's like me for the Open Championship when it starts at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, I'll be on the couch, coffee in hand, first tee shot, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous. It's good. They got decent coverage this year with NBC. Did you subscribe to the Peacock network or whatever?
You know what? I have the link up right here, so I'm prepared to. I have to go look at the full cover. Is that the only way I can watch it?
I truthfully don't know. I don't think as a Canadian we have to go through that process. We have it just straight to our regular old cable channels. But
Yeah, I think I can get on the Golf Channel.
yeah, I think that might be right as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Peacock's all about, but they were promoting it. So
Yeah, they really.
I think there's going to be lots of coverage, like which is pretty standard for the U.S. Open.
Love it. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for getting me excited. I'm really looking forward to it.
You can follow Eric on Twitter at @EPATGolf. You can follow me on Twitter at RickRunGood. This has been 300 Yards to Unknown, and we'll catch you next time.